welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yes, this is another episode of EP Live, and we are live. We have lots of people watching us right now. Paul Castillo, Adrian Leon, Timberwolf, Leafs fan, thank you so much that you said something. What's up, everyone? Best part of my work day every day is this show, and has been for many years, for when it was back on TV. It's very nice to read these comments. You guys are wonderful, and it's a real treat to have you here live with us as we stream this, so thank you. Remember, we are reading the comments as best we can, and we like to follow up on all that stuff. Help us out if you've got something that you want to broadcast, or you want us to really kind of see, just put it in all caps for us, okay? Help us out with that. We are going to get started with our rundown, and this one is going out to my beautiful wife, Marcy, who gave me an incredible birthday trip, and I'm so, so grateful to her and all of the wonderful things that she does. That's why we made this rundown just for you. All right, Monster Hunter World is slaying the competition and expanding the franchise more than expected. Capcom has announced that the new game has now shipped 7.5 million copies worldwide on the PS4 and Xbox One. They haven't said exactly how many copies it's actually sold, because ships just means the number of copies the publisher has sent to stores. But in the same announcement, Capcom also claims that World has become the best-selling title in their history, which is pretty impressive when you consider that it's only been out for a month. This is obviously a big win for Capcom. The game changed up the formula of the franchise, making it more simplistic and easy to play for newcomers, and this move has paid off big time. Expect Monster Hunter World to become even more popular when the PC version arrives later this year. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about these rundown stories after I go through them. Let's carry on now with what was probably the biggest news of the weekend. It was the Oscars. The 90th Annual Academy Awards took place on Sunday night, and it was a good night for genre entertainment. The fishy romance movie, I hate that we are describing it as the fishy romance movie, but I guess that's what it is. The fishy romance movie, The Shape of Water, took home the coveted Best Picture trophy, along with Best Director for Guillermo del Toro, making it his first win in the category. Now, this I was very happy about, because that's who I wanted to win out of the people that were nominated. The horror film Get Out didn't win Best Picture or Best Director for Jordan Peele, but Peele did take home another award, Best Original Screenplay, making him the first African-American to win in the category. Another notable win went to Blade Runner 2049 cinematographer Roger Deakins, who finally won after being nominated no less than 13 other times. How has this guy not won an Oscar before? He's incredible, and he did clearly the best job in cinematography out of any movie. Blade Runner should have won Best Picture, but that's another story. Blade Runner 2049 also took home Best Visual Effects, which makes a lot of sense. Now, looking ahead, Disney has a supercalifragilisticexpialidocious plan to sweep the Oscars next year. Last night during the Oscars, Disney released the first teaser trailer for Mary Poppins Returns, their long-in-development sequel to the iconic 1964 classic. It stars Emily Blunt as the magical nanny who descends from the skies to once again help the troubled Banks family. Let's take a look.
Mary
Poppins.
It is wonderful to see you.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
The fact that Disney released the trailer during the Oscars indicates that they're hoping this film will be a major contender next year. Mary Poppins Returns will hit theaters this Christmas, which is obviously the height of Oscar season. Now, it's the beginning of the end for the current American president on Netflix. That is, Netflix has released the first teaser trailer for the long-awaited 6th and final season of House of Cards. Here it is.
We're just getting started.
As you just saw, it doesn't give too much away, but does provide an early glimpse of Robin Wright as President Claire Underwood. Last year, production on the final season was famously delayed after troubling sexual assault allegations surfaced against former star Kevin Spacey. Netflix wrote Spacey out of the script, and it remains to be seen how they'll account for his conspicuous absence. The final season debuts this fall. Now, Netflix is bringing back an even darker show. The streaming giant has officially renewed the sci-fi anthology series Black Mirror for a fifth season, following the debut of the fourth season late last year. The first two seasons of Black Mirror originally aired on the UK's Channel 4, but Netflix swooped in to pick up the rights and create the third and fourth seasons, and now the fifth. They haven't said when the fifth season will arrive, but expect more details soon. Now, this is, obviously enormous. Let's start with this Netflix news here for a second here. Enormous news. I loved Black Mirror season 4. Although a lot of it just made me feel gross, but it was so imaginative. This is an anthology series that just benefits from no, conventional television interference. They can say whatever they want. They can show whatever they want. They get dark, but they also have money to have really cool effects, and it's very topical. And some of the stuff in season 4 was just so heavy. One of them was just where like a baby gets killed, and it's just awful. That was just too horrific to watch. But the one where they had the robot dog chasing after the woman, that was incredible and so prescient and so spooky and so freaky. And that's what makes Black Mirror really hard to take your eyes off of. And it's a great pickup for Netflix. Super excited about Black Mirror. Are you guys watching that thing? Are you guys watching that show? It's super cool. And they're doing a very good job at, making us stay entertained, but also think about the world around us, all the screens that we have. Black Mirror obviously refers to the fact that we always have these screens around us all the time. And when they don't have the EP script on them, they are black mirrors. You know what I'm saying? So psyched about that. Also psyched to see what Robin Wright is going to do, sort of leading the charge with more House of Cards. I'm a fan of that show, and I liked Kevin Spacey's over-the-top cheeseball performance and his southern accent. And it is going to be weird to see this show without him, but I think it's an awesome move because there were so many creative individuals. It's never one person on anything like this, and there's so many people that were, putting all of these pieces together to make that series really sing and be such a tremendous success for Netflix that I'm glad they said, screw you, man, you're out. And basically all of Hollywood has said that. And they're going to carry forward, and let's see what kind of a wrap up it's going to be. But I think it's a good move. I think that it sends a really big signal out there. No one is replaceable. If you're a scumbag, the karma will catch up, and they will remove you, even if you're the star of your own show, which is crazy. But Robin Wright kicks ass. She's phenomenal on that show. She definitely held her own against the scenery-chewing Kevin Spacey, and was riveting and scary and commanding. And I think she's going to be a very forceful, awesome president. So I can't wait to see her as President Claire. The Oscars, I didn't watch all of it. I watched little bits and pieces. I kind of watched the recap, but I was following along on Twitter, and I was entertained. It was very weird not to see Adam West in the in memoriam section there, and I tweeted about that last night. It's like, why the hell didn't they feature him? And there was other people in there too that it just made no sense, But I guess what happens is they just run out of time, or some really poor executive decisions get made. But he was conspicuously missing, and there were other Oscar winners that were not in the in memoriam thing. I saw people writing reports and stuff up there, but that was the first one that jumped out. And he jumped out because he died around the same time as Roger Moore died, and both of those people meant so much to me growing up. And I'd had the chance through EP to meet both Roger Moore and Adam West, and they were wonderful people, and they were just fantastic to interview, and to have them, these two icons of my childhood, just sort of disappear at the same time was really heavy. And I missed him. I sure missed him not being a part of that in memoriam. So that sucked, but it did rock that Guillermo del Toro got to take home all that gold. That was awesome. I think his star, he's such a creative force in Hollywood, and he's such a clever person with the way that he comes at projects and the types of projects that he builds. I loved The Shape of Water. I thought it was sensational, and I thought it deserved awards for Sally Hawkins and also Richard Jenkins in supporting actor and best actress. But I was really happy and really surprised. I predicted that Dunkirk was going to take the director category and also the best picture, because it seems more like an Oscar sort of friendly kind of movie than The Shape of Water did. But thankfully, people are, paying attention to some really clever originality out there with The Shape of Water. Although I understand that there is a huge lawsuit out there right now talking about sort of the copyright and whether that idea was original. And that's going to get interesting now that there is, Oscar Gold attached to this movie. But I'm going to give Guillermo del Toro the benefit of the doubt right now, at least, and just applaud him and applaud his great work. The movie's sensational. If you haven't seen it, definitely go see The Shape of Water. JBJ Blaze and TFA has a comment on Black Mirror. I saw USS Callister and enjoyed it, although it's weird that treating AI characters poorly has such harsh consequences. I think that's the sort of imminent moral dilemma that we're all going to face is like these AI creations that we build, are we going to give them sort of agency? Are they going to be able to have kind of like some rights? I mean, we're talking about animal rights right now and starting to understand the depths of intelligence that exist in different kinds of life that already exists on this planet. And if we're starting to engineer electronic life, it really brings in a lot of questions. And that's the kinds of stuff that Black Mirror gets you thinking about and talking about. That's why it's so important and such a great pickup. Audrey-Ann Leon says, oh, I see you brought the Switch out today. What are you going to play for today's Let's Play in chat? I'm going to play a game called Celeste, which is an indie game developed in Vancouver, or at least partially in Vancouver. I haven't touched it, don't know anything about it, so I'm psyched to see it. Got a bunch of friends in the biz that are always tweeting about it and talking about how cool it is. I don't see any other all caps in the comments and stuff, so I'm just going to move on here. So Oscar's pretty much a success for fans of cool movies like The Shape of Water and the Monster Hunter World. I am sad to say that since I reviewed that game, I have not been able to go back because of obviously woe is me. I'm checking out all kinds of new stuff. Right now I'm playing Yakuza 6 and a new Kirby game, and reviews for those are coming soon. So I haven't been able to go back, but I sure want to. I sure see people just having a tremendous time still playing the game and, chasing down huge, enormous beasts and playing together. And I had fun playing online. I played with Audrey-Ann Leon, actually, and we had a good time. And I miss my Monster Hunter time. I understand 100% why it's so successful. It's a phenomenal escape, and it's also a social escape, and it's beautiful, So it hits a lot of pillars. And it came at the exact right time. There was kind of like this hole in the PS4's and the Xbox One's kind of calendar for the success of Monster Hunter World. I think it's going to be a big hit on PC as well. The buzz is going to continue, and we're going to see sequels, and we're going to see a Switch port, I think, at some point, or a Switch variation on Monster Hunter World. So some good news all around. I'm glad you guys are all chatting. Oh, we got a Mr. Brockarock saying Celeste is so good in all caps squared. I can't wait to check that out. Yeah, I'm very curious, actually. I think I'm going to do a segment about the games that would be perfect to port over, or sequels, or, obviously I'm in this buried treasure kind of mode, and I'm switching to Switch talk here for a second, but I'm in this buried treasure mode, and we're playing the Kirby game, and it is... I can't talk about it. Anyways, it made me think of previous Kirby games, and there was that awesome sort of Play-Doh looking like Kirby experience on the Wii U, and I thought the Wii U is like the buried treasure console. Like, there is so many great games on that machine. Nobody played this thing. And so I might sort of dive into that library, but of course it gets me thinking about all of the other types of games like Deus Ex and Dishonored, and there's lots of cool games out there that maybe got to sort of mid-level success, but could use another little boost on a Nintendo platform that's capable of running that stuff and in a unique way. So I think the C3, I mean, I keep saying this, but I think the C3 is going to be interesting for that. I think we're going to see a lot of really esteemed titles that deserve more playtime get some new life on this machine in some interesting new ways. Jason Burks, Capcom adding Ryu as DLC should be interesting. I saw somebody on my friends list already playing as Ryu, which is incredible. Paul Castillo is saying, Vic, sorry if you've mentioned this before, what do you think about the talk in the States about banning certain video games? I think it's preposterous theater. I think that all of this BS about not sort of engaging around gun control in a real way and sort of offloading the argument to media and video games when everybody around the world has access to the exact same content, but there isn't mass shootings like there is in the United States, is absolute folly. And anybody falling for that, and anybody sort of suggesting that it's media that is making all of this violence happening is just fooling themselves. And I hope people can wake up and see the light of day that there is a direct correlation to the access to this, these weapons of war and the carnage that can come from that. And the data is readily available all over the planet. So hopefully America can kind of, not to turn this into a big political rant, but hopefully America can kind of wake up to that. But I certainly think that ascribing any kind of guilt on the part of video games is ridiculous. Let's see. Comment, Logan and the Disaster Artist should have tied, but were robbed. It was bull crap. They got robbed. Oh, hi, Vic. That's awesome. The Disaster Artist was really, really cool. Really a fun flick. And I think all of the fallout from the allegations around James Franco really hurt that movie. Logan got robbed, 100%. I think that should have been a comic book movie in the Best Picture category as one of the nominations. I would not have nominated, probably I wouldn't have nominated Lady Bird or Call Me By Your Name. And maybe not Get Out either. All great movies, but I don't know if they were of that caliber. I think Logan was absolutely one of the best movies of the year last year, and it's a real shame. And Blade Runner should have been in that list as well. I mean, I understand all of the decisions why these things happen, but and it's good news for Hollywood that some of these decisions happen as well, right? We need different ideas and we need different people making our entertainment for the future. But Logan was phenomenal. I think Hugh Jackman got a bit ripped off because I think he was pretty fantastic in both Logan and in the Greatest Showman, which not every critic dug, but I really, really liked it. I wasn't feeling so excited about Monster Hunter World, but when I started playing it, it certainly felt like a huge adventure, especially connecting with other players on it. Audrey and Leon still raving about it. Okay, I think it's time to move on because we've got lots of stuff to get into today. Let's move on with This Day in Everything Cool. Welcome to This Day in Everything Cool for March 5th. On this day in 2013, a gaming legend was born. The Tomb Raider reboot, simply titled Tomb Raider, launched on the PS3 and Xbox 360. Developed by Crystal Dynamics, the game introduced players to a completely new and more realistic version of Lara Croft with a darker tone that felt more modern and closer in line with other contemporary franchises like Uncharted. It was also the first big Tomb Raider game made after Square Enix bought the rights to the franchise after acquiring original publisher Eidos. It was a hit and has so far spawned at least one sequel, rejuvenated the franchise, and served as the inspiration for a new big screen movie. You can never get enough Lara. On March 5th, 1981, home computing got a lot more affordable. The Sinclair ZX81 home computer was released, designed to give average consumers a low-cost alternative to the more expensive home computers available at the time. It had a sticker price of $199 for the base model, and for comparison, the Apple III, which was released the same year, started at $4,000. The price made the ZX81 a hit. It was one of the first low-cost computers to catch on, selling millions of units the world over, and helping to bring home computing into the mainstream. Some big movies have been released on this day. March 5th, 1999 saw the North American release of the British crime thriller Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, which had taken the UK by storm the previous summer. It was the first movie directed by Guy Ritchie and, like many of his more recent films, told an interconnected story revolving around a group of small-time criminals. Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels also featured snappy music and editing similar to other 90s crime movies like Pulp Fiction and Trainspotting, and it helped launch the careers of Ritchie and stars like Jason Statham.
And throw yourself off while you're at it.
Another big movie took off on March 5th, 1970. The airplane disaster movie Airport was released in theaters, starring Burt Lancaster, Dean Martin, and a long list of other big Hollywood stars. It told the story of terrorists trying to blow up an airport and was a huge hit, spawning an entire genre of similar disaster movies that followed throughout the 1970s. Ah, what will we do without disaster movies, huh? Always fun, always a good time at the movie theaters. All right, you guys, when I was at Toy Fair, I made a little discovery. I had no idea that I would run into Matt Hart from Steamforged, but we had a very good conversation about the origin story of the Dark Souls board game. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Matt Hart. I'm the creative director and co-founder at Steamforged Games. I spent probably about 15 years working as a producer for companies like Ninja Theory, worked on Heavenly Sword and Enslaved, Devil May Cry. So I was the exec producer on Enslaved. One of my first forays into design was I got given the opportunity to do the overall design for Pigsy's Perfect 10. We had quite a strict budget. What I loved about doing with that was, and it really taught me the beauty of having harsh constraints. So Pigsy's Perfect 10 utilizes 90% of the core game engine. We actually had to rewrite very little, so an awful lot of that is just repurposing in a clever way the underlying game mechanics that we already had in the main game. What I particularly enjoyed about it was the emergent gameplay that we built. By creating these systems that interacted with each other in a predictable fashion, and that meant that players could be really creative with how they solved each encounter. I think, like with any team, when you work really hard with great passion and great skill and great talent, you just form friendships and relationships that have such deep strength to them. That's kind of what I miss. So those guys that are still there, I worked evenings and weekends, and we blasted through some games that we're all desperately proud of, and I kind of miss it. You miss the camaraderie, it's just an excellent place to work. So yeah, if you're an aspiring game developer, drop them a CV. It'd be a great place to get to. I was actually looking for a new opportunity, to be honest with you. I'd spent a lot of time making an awful lot of games, video games that I'm proud of, but I've always been a board gamer, I've always been a miniatures gamer, and like most people in the hobby, you kind of believe that you can design a better game than what's out there. So we decided to put our money where our mouth was and actually try our hand at it. And so far, it's working out pretty good. So we started Steamforged on the back of an original IP. It's a game called Guild Ball. It's what's the best way to describe it? So it's the opening scene from Gangs of New York, and they're all lining up in their striped outfits, and they've got knives, and they've got axes, and they've got chains. But now imagine they're playing a game of soccer. So it's basically soccer with axes. So we started Steamforged on the back of that. We went to Kickstarter with that particular product, raised enough money to fund it, certainly raised enough interest for us to know that this was a product that was going to have a retail presence. And then from that point, we started looking at the licensed products going into computer games, especially based on my background. And lucky enough to bump into an old friend at Namco and started talking to him about Dark Souls. Kickstarter's a great platform, but there's an awful lot of things that aren't necessarily fully known about it, certainly within wider and larger companies, because why would they look at a crowdfunding platform? But what it does is it gives you a real opportunity to create a community to engage with, and quite excitingly for the fans of the games that you're putting out, an opportunity for them to get involved with the back end of the development. And certainly for things like Dark Souls, we've actually learned a lot from talking with the fans who have backed us and fed those ideas into the product. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for people who love a particular IP or love a particular game to get involved with what's going on. I think one of the reasons why board games is seeing such a resurgence at the moment is the way it enhances the ability for groups of friends to get together. It acts as a catalyst for actual social engagement with each other. And I know that, I sit there most evenings playing League of Legends and I'm on the headset and I'm chatting to my friends. It's not the same as actually being around a table, having a drink, rolling some dice, and just talking with each other. So this is the thing that we're all competing for. It's no longer worrying about, is my product better than your product? Is it cheaper than your product, or is it better value? How do you spend your time? So all of us are time poor. So what we need to do is make sure that we're actually giving you high quality products that actually are meaningful for the time you need to invest. So the beauty of a board game and a card game is spending time with other people, and spending time with your friends, spending time with your family, and actually interacting with each other on a human level. I love video games. I love losing myself in the worlds and discovering new places and new stories and new characters. but I also really like my friends and my family, and I love spending time with those guys as well. So I think balance is the key to life. So what we wanted to do was give the fans a different way of interacting with the game. Dark Souls, the board game, fantastic experience, but it's a heavy game and it needs an awful lot of time commitment. And sometimes, you know, you get into the end of the night, you've only got an hour or so. You haven't got enough time, honestly, to play a full game of Dark Souls, a board game. So is there a different experience that you can get that still gives you that kind of Dark Souls, oh my God, are we going to live through this kind of feeling, but in a much shorter space of time? So it's a lot more compact as a game. So the card game comes out in March. And we couldn't be more excited. It's reviewing super well. Everyone's really enjoying it, playing it. It's another way of experiencing the Dark Souls universe.
It was great meeting Matt Hart. He said he was going to send me the Dark Souls trading card game. I don't play these types of games. I told Matt, I was straight up with him, I'm too busy with video games and with comic books and movies and TV shows and tech and the stuff that I'm usually talking about on EP. But I'm very curious, right? I know that these things are just booming and everybody is psyched about board games and card games and stuff like that right now. And I have friends out there like Johnny, I think is, and good to see you, Johnny, who I think is meeting regularly with people to play board games. He's painting miniatures and stuff like that. It's really cool. I think it's awesome. I just have never carved out the time. But apparently the card game is, you don't need tons of time. So maybe we'll get it and we'll play it. Maybe Blake and I will play a game of it on EP Live. But I am psyched about that. Good comments and questions in the chat. If you remember them, please ask them again when we play some Celeste on the Switch in a little bit. But right now, remember what I was talking about Wii U games being a fountain of cool buried treasures? Here's one right now. My buried treasure today is a launch title for the Wii U. It's developed by Ubisoft and it's called ZombiU. And it was a weird game because it really made you want to employ the use of the gamepad, the big Nintendo pad that came with the Wii U. There was so much looking down at that portable screen to kind of get your bearings and look at the map and look at your inventory. And it added so much to the gameplay because the zombies were coming, man. They were all around you. And so you're trying to like fiddle with locks and, you know, find the right tool for the specific kind of objective that you had in front of you. And you knew that you were about to die. And this thing also borrowed a lot from roguelikes and games like Dark Souls and things like that. I don't even know if Dark Souls had come out before this, but basically you died and you had to start again, but you could find your pack and all the stuff that you left behind, and you're basically trying to survive, last as long as you can. It was really scary and it was really well crafted and very fun, and it was honestly a fantastic use case for the gamepad. It really made you understand that there could be some cool mechanics where you had to look at this screen and then look at the television, and then look at this screen and look at the television. And there weren't too many games, as we all know, that really did that well for the Wii U. Even though it's been remade for other systems, and you know, that's a testament to Ubisoft's belief in this game, and it's a solid game on other platforms, but it really belonged, and it was a terrific game on the Wii U, and unfortunately not that many people played it. That's why it's a buried treasure. That was the only way to play it. I know they made Zombie for different machines afterwards. It was still a cool game, but the Wii U was great. That was a great launch title. It really kind of showed everything off. That's part of why I think Nintendo and Ubisoft are creating such a harmonious partnership together, and why we get cool things like Mario plus Rabbids. Right now, it's time to take a look at something completely different. This is a movie on Netflix crafted by Duncan Jones. Here's my review of Mute.
You gonna give me some trouble, big boy? Or are you gonna channel that famous Amish serenity?
I don't know what happened with Duncan Jones' Mute for Netflix. It's a Netflix exclusive movie. I was looking forward to Mute because I was a big fan of Source Code with Jake Gyllenhaal, but a major fan of Moon. Mute is a little hard to take. The main character is Mute, played by Alexander Skarsgård, who is solid. I mean, he's got a remote through his eyes, and he's writing down things as quickly as possible. And he's solid, and he has this love affair that goes horribly wrong, and he meets these really creepy dudes in Paul Rudd and in Justin Theroux. But really, Alexander Skarsgård is is kind of left to his own devices in this thing, and he's just sort of beaten around by characters and the over-the-top kind of super green screen scenery that's all over the place. We don't really get to see too much of Alexander Skarsgård's ability to craft a great character because he's mute. He can't talk through this whole thing.
Sure you want our help with this?
Now, Paul Rudd and Justin Theroux play a couple of ex-military guys that have a really twisted relationship, and they do very twisted things. Both of them are evil and awful in their own right, and they kind of cancel themselves out. There's a charm that they each have that's, I think, evident in just these actors and these human beings, and that comes through on screen like it always does. They have charm and charisma, but they're kind of playing, I guess, two sides of the same coin, but as performers, they're so similar in a lot of ways that I feel like the casting could have been a little bit more exciting here, even though it's great to see these familiar actors, these big-name actors that we've seen in lots of good things. They do become redundant, which is kind of crazy.
No soda.
I'm not really taken along for the ride in this crazy dystopia that's crafted for me. It just doesn't feel authentic. There's some great ideas in here, and I love this sort of sliver of Blade Runner aesthetic, but the overall film feels kind of half done. It feels like the effects aren't very good, and it doesn't really transport you into this universe effectively because you feel like the budgets were slashed or something halfway through. I felt like, wow, this thing just doesn't have the gas, man. And I felt bad for Duncan Jones because this guy is a solid filmmaker, but for some reason it just doesn't pack a huge wallop. Maybe this is something that I come to appreciate over time, and I have a feeling that this will become kind of a cult movie. I don't know if it will ever be a successful movie. I think that critically it's getting slammed, and I've got a lot of friends that are into the same kinds of sci-fi stuff that I am, and nobody is really hyped on it right now, but maybe over time this is something that people will appreciate a little bit more. I definitely feel the labor of love in this thing. It's a packed film. Like, there's a lot of little pieces in here. I just didn't enjoy it. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I just didn't enjoy my time with Mute, and as a Duncan Jones fan, I was really, frankly, disappointed. So I'm gonna give Mute a 5 out of 10. Oh man, you guys have got some great questions and comments. Yeah, Mute was a bit disappointing. I have a feeling I may check it out in a couple of years when I'm not so fresh off of Blade Runner, and I may dig it a little bit more. Certainly like a lot of the performers in there. But Blair Farrell, a great comment about the Wii U scares me because I moved the guts out of my Wii into it, and it got me thinking about how if that flimsy looking tablet breaks, all the virtual console stuff is gone. And ain't that the truth, man? It's such a fear to lose all of these purchases. One of the things that's pissed me off recently about the iPhone and iOS, because obviously I sounded like Christopher Walken right there. Christopher Walken talking about his iPhone, but they moved to iOS 11, and when they did that, they dropped all the 32-bit game support, and I tweeted about this. I was pissed because I've got all these classic SNK games that I paid money for, spent money on, to play on my iPhone. Not that I do a ton, but they were there. They worked. Now they don't work, and they haven't been updated. And I just feel like SNK, who is a master at reselling us their games, will sell us iOS 11 versions of these games. And it kind of sucks. And that also got me thinking about why iPhone doesn't have an archive OS for classic phones. I know they want to sell you the new phones and all the other stuff, but wouldn't it make sense if you've got a 3-year-old phone to be able to have the best version of a 3-year-old operating system and a 3-year-old store? Like, how much work would that really take? And wouldn't that be goodwill back to the consumer? As opposed to trying to sell us new stuff. I know I'm being so utopian. No company would ever do that. And Nintendo included, they're going to get us to repurchase a lot of this stuff. But yes, the idea of losing all of your things would, all of the games and stuff that you put money into would really suck. And George Christodoulou says, stick to reviews, Vic. I do. I do review a lot of things. One for you show, Nintendo needs to have their marketplace purchases tied to their account rather than the device stuff itself like Sony and Microsoft. Absolutely bingo, Adnan. That is absolutely what every digital software purveyor needs to do. Blake, come on in. You're going to join me, right? Yep. We're going to be playing some Celeste, but you're 100% right. I think you buy it once and be able to port it to all kinds of stuff. Hopefully we sound okay. Let us know. There's some good comments and questions in here. I'm going to let you scroll back on here, okay?
Before we start, everybody, if the game is too loud, let me know so that I can run over and adjust levels.
So scroll back and see if there's any comments. Or some people have been putting, they've been going full or all caps on some of the questions.
Vic,
and comments.
your iPad is way too small. How am I supposed to?
I have the small one. I know it's for squinting at. Okay, I'm gonna. This is the deal. We actually have been because we've had so much edited content today. We're running a little bit early. So guess what, guys? I'm moving the Let's Play and Chat to 20 minutes. First, Let's Play and Chat for 20 minutes. Let's play 20 minutes of Celeste.
Is this game 20 minutes long?
No, it's gonna be much longer than that.
Okay,
I've heard
great.
it's hard. That's the only thing I know about it. Celeste, and we start with the climb. And
so as of right now, if it's too loud, let us know.
I have to rename her to Batwing.
Of course you do.
Right? So that's first thing. So there's 20 minutes of me renaming the character, starting now. And if you've got any questions...
What is this game, Vic?
I don't know.
I've never heard of this game.
Well, that's why I wanted to take a look
Oh, no,
at
wait,
it.
no. This is the one from the makers of...
Towerfall.
Towerfall,
yeah. Which is great. So let's go.
Yeah, I heard these guys on a Nintendo podcast.
All right. So let's see. So you guys got on Batwing.
Yeah, Blair Farrell had a good comment about how you can transfer games you've purchased on the PSP from like 10 years ago.
Right.
And still own them.
Yes.
But you can't on, like more modern systems, which is insane.
Yeah, I mean, this is all sort of feeding into this idea of the Oasis in Ready Player One, right? Like having all of that stuff digitized and all of it accessible, all media everywhere. We'll get there. Okay, so it's. I think I might have to look at it.
Did you kill the music, Vic?
I did kill the music. This is really cute.
So let us know if our voice.
Dead. Okay.
Good job, Vic. So let us know if our voices are a good match with the game audio.
Okay, cool. Somebody was asking about the Tomb Raider game. I think it was Adnan as well. The One For You show. Amazing interviewer, this Adnan guy as well. He had me on his show once before, and I had a really, really great time talking with him. And he's also sent me some cool gift baskets for Christmas and picked me up at the airport and stuff because he lives in the Los Angeles area. Thank you, Adnan. But he asked what my thoughts are on Tomb Raider.
The game or the movie?
The movie.
What movie?
With Alicia Vikander.
The new one.
The new one.
You haven't seen it yet, though.
No, but early thoughts. What are my expectations? I guess I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think Hollywood is learning from being true to the source material big time from the comics industry, and I think it will feel like the first Crystal Dynamics reboot Tomb Raider game in a big way, which will be cool. And I think Alicia Vikander is a good choice for our heroine. So
yeah, she is.
I'm excited to see it.
It's only going to take one video game movie to be a hit, and then
Yes.
there will never not be video game movies. It's like when Spider-Man came out in 2002.
True that.
It was this huge hit, and every movie was a comic book movie after that, and it hasn't stopped in almost 20 years.
Adnan says Vic killed the music, and the game killed Vic immediately.
Yeah. He was making a joke about my... Because I always say when I want someone to cancel an audio track, I always say kill the audio track.
Yes.
So one time I told someone to kill the narrator.
Yikes.
And they were very confused.
Are there any Netflix movie exclusives, Sean
I have one.
Peterson, that are worth seeing? The Ritual. I reviewed that.
But one you haven't reviewed?
Yeah.
I just watched on the weekend this new horror movie called Veronica.
Okay.
Not to be confused with another Netflix movie also called Veronica.
Really?
There's two.
Oh, wow.
And I think that the description was actually screwed up because one's a horror movie and one's a drama.
Oh, no.
But the horror movie had like the description for the drama in it.
Oh, my God.
But it's pretty creepy. I don't get scared by horror movies because I'm a cynical person.
Yes.
But like if you're the type of person, like the whole time I was watching it, I was thinking of Marissa because she would always get really creeped out by horror movies.
Yes.
I was imagining her watching it and just chuckling to myself, like imagining her getting scared. So that would be a good horror movie to watch on Netflix if you're into horror movies.
Yes, absolutely. I got to check that out. And the other one I think was nominated for an Oscar was Icarus, which I haven't seen. It's a sports documentary, but I've heard that's really good. What else we got? There was another question on here. Oh, Blair Farrell. Can you just read that question?
Yeah. Blair Farrell wants to know, Vic. I know you go for Star Wars stuff, but
Yeah.
do you find any Infinity War toys this weekend?
I did not pick up any Infinity War toys.
Does he mean at Toy Fair?
No, at toy stores and stuff. I have so many action figures, and no one likes how many action figures I have except for me.
I've seen Vic's house. Trust me, he has a lot of action figures.
Blake doesn't like it. Johnny doesn't like it. My wife doesn't like it.
I don't dislike it.
My daughter thinks I'm crazy.
Yeah, his kids think he has too many toys.
I only have one kid.
His
I have
kid,
one kid, many toys.
When I think when I was a kid, it's like the kid is usually the one to ask the parents for toys, but with you, it's the other way around.
My daughter is really into My Little Pony, and all the My Little Ponies have cutie marks on their hind quarters. Yep. And
well, did they all have them now? I thought they all didn't have their cutie marks.
Well, some of the ones are still trying to find their cutie marks.
Yeah.
But she said my cutie mark would be video games, and she's 6. Okay, lay off. But yeah, so I have to be very choosy about the figures that I get, and I'm kind of making it a rule, although I have broken this rule, that I want to see these movies before I buy these figures. I didn't buy any Star Wars Last Jedi toys at all, except for one of those Crimson Guards that was guarding Snoke in his room there. The Lego version of it, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I really liked building that, the Build-A-Figure, and I've got a Boba Fett coming, and I can't wait to do that. I'll probably do that as a toy table.
You mean one of those guys that gets killed in like 5 seconds in the movie?
Yeah, there's a lot of, you know what?
Spoiler.
Toy that I was thinking of that would just be so preposterous are the bombers in The Last Jedi.
But they have to have those.
They do. Well, they have
They
Lego.
can't not
They have
have
Lego
those things,
versions
yeah.
of those, and I'm sure they have figure versions as well. But they were so useless.
Yeah.
Like they all got evaporated in the first battle
Yeah.
within 10 minutes of the movie.
And why do you need a bomber that drops bombs in space? How do you drop a bomb in space?
It's
people?
based on gravity pull and stuff like that. It's not based on. It's based on like.
From what?
Well, from like the tractor beam type deal. So to answer your question, Blair Farrell, I have not bought any Infinity War stuff yet.
Are the toys even out? Are the toys even out for that
they're
movie?
hidden. Yeah, they're.
When's the movie come out? In a month?
Next month. Next month. Can't wait. That dead. Oh my God.
I feel like Black Panther just came out.
I
and
know.
now we're already getting another Marvel movie in a month.
The biggest one ever. I can't wait.
Okay,
So there's some other questions and comments in there.
Is the next Cloverfield going to be on Netflix? I think. Well, this one wasn't supposed to be. It was kind of a last-minute thing to put it on Netflix.
Yeah, my guess is yes, it will be, and they probably tied the deal to it.
I would say we'd have to wait and see. Because if it's because the only reason the Cloverfield Paradox went on Netflix is because it sucked, and they didn't want to release it in theaters. So if the next one is good, they might release it in theaters and then on Netflix maybe a little bit later. But I don't know if it'll be a Netflix exclusive.
I mean, this is changing everything.
And also,
what's happening.
The thing too is Netflix doesn't own the Cloverfield franchise.
No.
They don't own that movie. They have the distribution rights for it, but they don't own it.
Right.
It's not like House of Cards or something like that.
My guess is they have some kind of deal.
Yeah,
in the next one.
and they're really cozy with Paramount because they have other movies too.
Yeah.
But I think
And
with
Annihilation.
if the next Cloverfield is a big budget thing that is getting good test scores, they'll probably want to release it in theaters, I would imagine.
Oh
So
my lord, this is hard. Okay, I get it now. Okay, any other questions or comments?
questions. Vic, did you have a pleasant 21st birthday?
Uh,
Well, next year you'll know when you turn 21 next year. You'll be able to answer that question. People. Timberwolf says to dash jump. You have to dash.
I have to dash jump. Yes.
Do you know how to dash jump?
Yep, like that.
Okay.
Okay, I can get up to there. That's as far as I got.
This looks exactly like Towerfall.
Well, they had great mechanics in Towerfall, but you needed all your friends to crowd around, and that was hard to get.
I got Towerfall for free on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, it's a cool game. But do you have 3 other friends to play it with?
I don't have 3 friends.
Yeah. We're too busy making almost television. People are asking about my birthday. I had an incredible birthday. I went to Italy, and my wife found us this amazing hotel in Positano. That's why we had rundowns coming from Positano, Italy.
Yeah, they saw the rundown.
And it was incredible.
Vic, you're supposed to dash over the spikes.
I know.
Don't touch the
I'm
spikes.
thinking
They'll
of
kill
my
you.
birthday. Oh, I
There
did
you
it. Woohoo! I'm amazing.
So Okay. Darkstorm CH007,
Yeah.
006 was taken, says that he works at he or she works at Walmart and got Infinity War toys about 2 weeks ago. So
Nice.
they came out about 2 weeks ago. That's good to know.
How are they? Should I be getting them?
They're probably plasticky and.
They're all made out of plastic.
But they're. I would imagine the ones they sell at Walmart are probably the more on the cheaper side.
The
right?
Hasbro ones.
And if you want the fancy, expensive ones, you'd probably go to like a comic book boutique or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've kind of, as you saw, if you watch my Toy Fair piece, I kind of love the Hot Toys and the 112 and, you know, the stuff where they have like cloth outfits and lots of different cool accessories and broken masks and faces and things like that. Or there's a weird kind of uniqueness to them, like the what is it? Tamahashi Nations.
Tomodachi.
I think it's
you have one
Tamahashi.
sitting right there.
Yeah,
right?
the samurai infused ones with the Marvel stuff and the Star Wars stuff. I love
That's
all of that.
I have like 3 toys in my house. One of them is the Tamashi Nations.
Tamashi Nations, that's right.
I said it right by accident.
Yep.
One of them is their Samurai Darth Vader because we were at Comic-Con in 2015
When they first came
and I was being cynical like, oh, I'm not going to buy any toys. And then we saw this Samurai Darth Vader and you and I were both like, okay, we're buying that.
Yes.
And then we did an interview with somebody.
This is ridiculous. Oh my god.
We did an interview with someone at the booth as an
Yes.
excuse, as a pretense for then at the end of the interview asking them for one of the Darth Vaders. And we got 2. We each got one.
Yes.
And that's sitting on my shelf right now.
They're amazing.
It's an amazing looking figure. Especially it makes sense with Star Wars because those old Star Wars movies were based on samurai movies.
Absolutely. So if anybody-
Somebody wants to know, Jonathan King asks if Code Vein is going to be like Dark Souls. I think when Namco Bandai announced it, they said that was the idea. It's
Yeah.
not being made by From Software, but
they want to tap that Dark Souls
they
vein,
want
right?
to they want to cash in on that Dark Souls market. So I think that was their idea.
Dark Souls is coming to the Switch, right? In the next few months, I think. Or
Yeah,
has that been
yeah.
officially
Yeah, they announced that like the last Nintendo Direct.
And it's the trilogy, isn't it? It's like all 3 of the
I
games.
can't remember. I think it's. Let me ask Google.
Okay.
I think it's just Dark Souls 1 and 2.
Oh, really?
Let me chew. Don't quote me on that. Let me see.
See, this is what's going to happen with that machine. Is there's going to be all of these new ways to play these games that we love. Oh,
Dark Souls Remastered.
I would love to see them do some remasters on.
I think it's just the first.
Oh yeah, they want
game,
to
yeah.
slowly eke it out. Makes sense.
I don't know if the Switch could run Dark Souls 3. Would
Yeah,
it? Do you think
could.
it would?
I mean, it ran Doom.
The Switch is a good machine, but I mean,
It just won't have the. Okay, I got a strawberry. It just won't have the. It won't have the all the hotness. This is like I clearly don't make the games, right?
Yeah,
I
it won't have
review
the
them.
hotness.
But it won't have all the juice that they can stick onto the PS4 and the Xbox One. But
NPW has a comment about our This Day and Everything Cool segments.
Yes.
This person says, thinking of covering. Oh, that. I loved your bullet about the revolver on February 24th. This Day and Everything Cool. We did on February 24th. We did a mention about how that was the day Samuel Cold patented the revolver. I know that because I wrote it.
yep.
This person's asking if we'll be doing any more gun coverage like that, and no. I can tell you right off the bat, the reason I put that in there
Is
because
how controversial it is.
no,
right?
it's because that was a slow day and I didn't have any other things to put in. I try to have at least 3. 4 is a good number. I try to have at least 3.
Yeah.
And that was a day where I had like one thing, so I'm like,
Yeah.
I was sitting there writing it. And I'm like, what am I gonna use?
There's always something cool historically, but it also has to fit within
Yeah,
the EP sort of.
we can't do Gandhi starting the Salt March. It has to be something cool. So we.
That is cool.
And
though.
and the Samuel Colt patenting the revolver was a bit of a stretch. It was
Yeah.
a little bit outside
But
our
it's-
wheelhouse.
I mean, that's
but
such a part of our fiction. and
that's
our
how I
fantasy.
justified it.
Yeah.
The first sentence is that Western video games and movies wouldn't be the same without it.
This game is I'm gonna go crazy.
So this is a good game to only pay half attention to.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I mean, as far as gun coverage goes, I mean, we
Oh,
pretty
God,
much
no,
cover
no.
guns every time we talk about a shooter video game. I mean,
Yes.
they're such a big part of pop culture. It's like,
Did I go all that way for a strawberry? Was that it? I went all that
oh,
way.
I remember this from the podcast. You don't
Okay.
have to get the strawberries.
Yeah,
The strawberries are like the extra thing.
Okay.
They're not crucial.
Okay.
The strawberries are there for if you're trying to if you want an extra challenge. You don't
Okay.
actually have to go after them.
This is a ridiculously difficult game.
I'm not a big fan of games that are hard. I'm really I like a challenge, but I don't like games that are.
Well,
I
it's
don't want to be
tuned, though.
challenged to the point where I get pissed off.
It's tuned. I can see the. I can see the hooks getting into me already.
Yeah.
I'm not good. I'm
I
not good
like
with
I
that.
play a game to relax. So if a game is like, if
Oh,
a
yeah,
game
I
is
hear
too
you.
hard,
I
it
hear you.
pisses me off, and I'm not relaxing.
Okay, so you only get one of those extra leapers. Any other questions? You will love playing
comment.
Burnout. Will I be playing Burnout Paradise Remastered?
Yes.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
I could answer that. Of course you will.
Yeah.
You love that game. Like Burnout Remastered, the original Burnout Paradise. That was one of the first games I ever played for EP when I was
so
hired.
good.
And it was, yeah,
Do
that
I
was
want
really-
this green thing? I think I do, but how do I survive
Oh,
that?
Mr. Brocka Rock has a comment for you. He says, Vic, the game is all about momentum. You can jump when moving platforms and to propel yourself.
Holy mackerel. Are
That-
people playing this thing? What did I just get with this green
So you
diamond?
got to keep the momentum going, I think.
Oh, yeah, right.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Look at all these spikes around me right now. I'm so dead.
That doesn't make any sense physically. If you're on a platform that's
I
moving,
did
you
it.
don't keep the momentum if you jump on it.
I did it. Look at this bench. Okay.
How did my
my
Half-Life 3 fan fiction end? Sean L wants to know. It hasn't ended yet because I don't want it to end. Well, no, because Mark Laidlaw, I think, the
Yeah.
writer of Half-Life 2,
Yes.
he made a blog post where I think this was last year, we did a story about it on the rundown, where he basically said exactly what would have happened in Half-Life 3. Like, point for point, like, Gordon Freeman does this, then they do this, then they do this. So we know what would have happened had Valve made a next game in the series.
Right.
It was pretty cool. But yeah, I'm not a big fan fiction guy. I write a lot of slash fiction, but not fan fiction.
What's slash fiction?
It's like when it's erotic.
Okay.
It was a joke.
Okay.
I don't actually write that.
Dark
all
Souls
about the-
Remastered, PS4, Xbox One, and even the Nintendo Switch. So they're going to start doling them out once again. That seems smart.
Mr. Brockrock is also saying your hair is changing color when
Yes.
to indicate
Yes.
what is happening.
Yeah.
This is the disadvantage of playing a game you've never played before live in front of,
I did it! Oh, the green diamond gives me momentum. I get it. So I can bounce off of that thing. This game is awesome. That looks like the Wolverine's mask right there.
What does?
That little mask right there. Do you think
It's
that
orange
is?
though.
Well, he has a brown in
In the comics.
Yes.
Yeah. To me it looks more like Ultron,
Okay.
but I don't know. I'm not a big
This
comic.
is
book guy.
clearly based in Canada. It's snowing. Why is there a mouse icon on the screen occasionally?
Oh,
we're
that's
running this
'cause-
through
yeah,
the
I had that,
good
yeah.
point. We're running this through the Elgato, through my Mac, through. There's a ton of HDMI's running through our whole setup.
If I were to pan this camera down, you would see a whole bunch of crap.
So
all
we're
on the
running
floor.
this through Elgato, through the Mac, and we used to have these audio hiccups that would happen with the show when we unhooked and plugged in stuff, and so we recognized that
We
while we're
figured that out,
streaming,
yeah.
we can't really change.
If we unplug an HDMI from a laptop and plug it into a console,
Yeah, which is what we start.
while we're streaming, it screws up the stream.
Yeah.
So that's why we do this, so we don't have to actually unplug anything.
We're trying to do EP Live with all of the television stuff that we own in the company. And the TV stuff,
Which is all from 10 years ago.
which we've had over the years of doing TV, which doesn't really fit with the modern streaming tech that's out there. So we have kludged together a bunch of stuff, but we seem to have this thing going pretty good. But there is definitely lots of technology that you can pick up today, where you just plug in as many sources as you want. You can, if we get enough sponsors, either through people or through corporate sponsors or other types of contract work or whatever, or somebody picks up some of the content that we have for bigger distribution, we'll have money to invest in stuff like that. Yeah. But it's the reason EP has been around for so long is because we haven't just poured a money hose at every problem. We've been smart with the way that we use our resources as best we can.
We have a question from Jay Panetta.
Yeah.
He wants to know, or he or she wants to know, hey Vic, what do you think of Xenoblade Chronicles 2? Are you still playing that game?
No. I loved it though. I mean, that was another one when I reviewed it. It's like
I love your dismissive reaction.
It breaks my heart because I think about that game every time I turn on the Switch, but I gotta play the new stuff.
That's the type of game that is a time investment that
Yeah.
most people don't have.
I mean, I am clearly aware that there are lots and lots of sites and channels and stuff like that now that just sort of focus on one game, but I didn't build EP to be like that. I built EP to kind of, because I have this attention disorder, I think, too, right? Where I want to just get going onto whatever is new and whatever is next. I find great enjoyment from that. So one of the sort of side effects of that is I have to move on. So I don't get to play these things. I want to play Monster Hunter more, and I want to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 more. God, there's still more stuff I want to do in Zelda.
What's that little yellow sign? What is that?
It's just the... oh man, this is good. So good. Okay.
Is that like a don't slip sign?
Yeah, it's just like you're climbing up a mountain and there's all this extra stuff.
I like how that one ice block in the middle has like a face, like a frowny face on it.
I wonder if that's going to start falling apart here.
He's gonna like growl at you.
So this thing is gonna... Oh, there's the...
Oh.
Ah!
Time's up, you guys.
Time's up. But that was a great show. That was super fun.
This game looks pretty good.
I love this game.
This is the type of game that would be perfect on the Switch because you can play it in bed.
This will be something that will be in Reviews on the Run as soon as I possibly can. But how does Nintendo not disappoint after releasing the 2 best games ever last year? That is a big question, Sean. That's a question.
They released Half-Life 2 last year? That's the best game ever.
He's got 2 questions. How did they not disappoint after last year? That is the big question on everybody's mind. We're going to find out. I think maybe they'll tease a little bit around GDC time, and then we'll find out for sure.
Well, I mean, Metroid this year they're going to have a Pokemon RPG, which will be the first console Pokemon RPG.
Yeah.
So that's going to be that right there would be enough, I think, for a year. But on top of that, they also have Kirby, Yoshi, and maybe Metroid at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Will that be the end of this year or early next?
Yeah.
We'll see. But they got a lot of good. They know they've learned their mistake. They've learned from their mistakes they made with the Wii U.
Yes.
They know they need to keep a steady stream of exclusives coming out, and they're doing that.
Yes.
I'm optimistic about the future of Nintendo.
Me too. And we're going to find out a lot more. Great questions and comments. Good chat
go end the
engagement
stream
today. Thank you so much, everybody. Definitely, we're coming back tomorrow with a brand new EP live. So if you were thinking of things that I didn't shout out or respond to, and you can join us again tomorrow and would like to, please bring back your questions and comments. That stuff helps make the show better. And I know that these comments and questions are shared amongst the other viewers out there, people that watch this in its archive state or somewhere later. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you if you're watching this later. Remember, we've got tons of content on our channel, so please click around and watch the other stuff that we've made for you. And if you dig it, hit subscribe, that little bell, and if you're so inclined, that sponsorship button. See you tomorrow.